Hey everybody, it's Jack, and we're here again at the Hoboken Fire Museum. And I'm here again with Bob, the director of the Hoboken Historical Museum, and it's time for another special story time. And today is extra special because where am I sitting? Well, I'm sort of in the driver's seat or next to the driver's seat anyway, of the big fire truck, the big red fire truck that sits in the museum. That's a 1932, that's a long time ago, a 1932 Ahern's Fox. They call it a hose truck or a hose wagon. If you want to, Google that, you could learn the history of it. But I'm up here with, there's the fire bell, and there's a big steering wheel, and maybe you can see behind me, that's one of the big hoses that they would spray the water out of. But we have a special firehouse story today that I think you're going to like a lot. Now, who out there knows the type of animal that hangs around a firehouse? Does anybody know who that is? Who is it? Who? No, it's not an owl. Who? I'm gonna tell them who it is. Who? Well, normally it's a dog, right? And often you'll see these dogs, Dalmatians, with white dogs with black spots on them. This one's wearing a little hat. And they're usually like the pet, the mascot of a firehouse. But the story I'm going to tell you today is not about a fire dog. It's about a fire cat. Don't worry, there's plenty of stories about fire dogs. This just one is about a fire cat. All right. We'll get you some dog chow later. So this is a book, and it's not as old as the truck, but it's pretty old. It's from 1960, and it's by someone named Esther Averill. And we'll read it together. How about that? Look, it looks like it's going to be exciting. Here's a cat running down the street. What are these? We know what this is called, right? It's a fire hydrant, right? And it looks like there's some fire. Oh, there's a couple of chapters. All right. Settle in. Here's Pickles. Once upon a time, there was a yellow cat with black spots in his fur. His name was Pickles. Is that a silly name for a cat? Pickles was a young cat. His paws were big, and he wished to do big things with them. But where could Pickles find anything big to do? Pickles lived in a barrel. Well, that's where Pickles lived, that's true. The barrel was all that he had for a home. Could you imagine if you lived in a barrel with just a couple of bricks on the side? Poor Pickles. Poor Pickles. Pickles' barrel was in an old yard where there was nothing big to do. So what did Pickles do? Well, he ran after little cats. He ran after every little cat that came into the yard. And he chased the little cat out of the yard. This was a bad thing. But it was all that Pickles could find to do. He's kind of bored. Now, next to Pickles' yard, there was a house. And in the house lived many cats who called out to Pickles, "You are bad. Meow, 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 meow. You cannot be our friend. Meow, 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 meow." But Pickles, that made Pickles sad. But Pickles did have a friend in the house. His friend was Mrs. Goodkind. That's a nice name. If you ever meet anyone named Goodkind, they might be a nice person. Every day, Mrs. Goodkind came into the yard and gave Pickles something to eat. Do you think she gave him pickles to eat? One day, Mrs. Goodkind said, "Pickles, you are not a bad cat. You are not a good cat. You are good and bad and good. You are a mixed-up cat. What you need is a good home. Then you will be good." Oh? Mrs. Goodkind picked up the mixed-up cat. She took him into her home to live. See how nice she is? In Mrs. Goodkind's home, there was a pretty chair for Pickles to sit on. There were toys for him to play with. That's a lot better than living in a barrel, huh? Looks pretty nice. But Pickles did not want to sit on a pretty chair. He did not want to play with toys. So he ran back to his barrel in the yard. And he began to chase the little cats again. Oh, Pickles. Why do you do it, Pickles? Mrs. Goodkind said to Pickles, "Things cannot go on like this. Something will happen." Pickles don't care. It's like, la, la, la. My name is Pickles, and I like to chase little cats. Meow. The next day, Pickles chased a little cat up an old tree. He climbed after her. Pickles sat up in the tree near the little cat. He wouldn't let the little cat climb down. Pickles is terrible. Pickles is a mean cat. After a time, the wind began to blow. Blew and blew and blew, and the rain came down hard. It came down harder and harder. At last, Pickles let the little cat climb down and go home. Pickles wanted to climb down too. He wanted to get back into his barrel, but he couldn't climb down. Sometimes this happens to cats. And it happened to Pickles. So here, Mrs. Goodkind showed up. She ran to the tree. "Pickles," she called, "please try to come down." But Pickles could not climb down. Was he a scaredy cat? Maybe. It's raining and windy. Mrs. Goodkind ran into her house. Pickles could see her by the window. She was talking on the telephone. Then she called out to Pickles, "The firefighters are coming." A fire truck. Maybe it was a 1932 Ahern's Fox hose wagon, maybe. The fire truck came up the street and stopped at Pickles' yard. 3 firefighters jumped down from the truck. 1, 2, 3. Beep. I think every time we hear a beep, I'm supposed to turn the page, maybe. Mrs. Goodkind came out of her house. She ran to the fireman, and she pointed to Pickles. The fireman put a ladder against the tree. One of the firemen began to climb up the ladder.
Climbing, 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 climbing.
Meow. The fireman climbed to the top of the ladder.
Come, cat, he said to Pickles. Let me help you.
The fireman picked up Pickles and tucked him into his coat. Then he took Pickles down the ladder, down to Mrs. Goodkind.
We are climbing down, 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 climbing down.
Meow. Meow, I'm in a coat. I'm a cat in a coat. Meow, meow, meow.
Mrs. Goodkind, said the fireman, is this your cat?
No, Joe, said Mrs. Goodkind. Pickles has no home, and he does not want to live with me.
Why? Asked Joe.
Mrs. Goodkind answered, My home is too little for Pickles. Pickles is a cat who wishes to do big things, and someday he will do them. Look at his big paws. Pickles put out a paw for Joe to see.
My goodness, Pickles, said Joe. What big paws you have.
Pickles looked at Joe and said the one word he could say. Meow. And Joe could see that Pickles wanted something very much. Joe gave Pickles a pat.
Pickles, he said, I'll take you to our firehouse. Maybe our chief will let you stay.
Ooh, look at that. Does that look a little like the Hoboken Fire Museum? To me it does. Hook and Ladder Company 7. The Fire Cat. Joe took Pickles to the chief, who was sitting at his desk.
What's going on here? What are you got a cat in your coat there? I'm working on some papers. Oh, said the chief. I know this young cat. He's the one that chases the little cats.
Huh?
How do you know? Asked
Joe. The chief answered,
A fire chief knows many things.
Just then, the telephone began to ring.
Bring, 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 bring.
Hello, said the chief. Oh, hello, Mrs. Goodkind. Yes, Pickles is here. He came with Joe. What did you say? You think Pickles would like to live in our firehouse? Well, we shall see. Thank you, Mrs. Goodkind. Goodbye. The chief looked at Pickles and said, Mrs. Goodkind says you are not a bad cat. We must have not heard that part of the conversation. And Joe likes you. I will let you live here if you will learn to be a good firehouse cat. Pickles walked quietly up the stairs after Joe.
I'm climbing up the stairs, la 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 la. Meow, 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 meow. I'm gonna try to be a good cat. Meow.
Joe and Pickles went into a room where the firefighters lived. The men were pleased to have a cat. They wanted to play with Pickles. But suddenly... You think that's loud for you? Think about Bob, who's holding the camera. Suddenly, the fire bell rang. All the firemen ran to a big pole, and down they went. Mr. Cameraman, would you swing around and see? Don't fall off the truck, but there is a pole right here in the fire museum. That's because when it was a firehouse, just like in this story, there was a pole from the upstairs where they live downstairs to where the trucks are. The pole was the fast way to get to their trucks. Pickles could hear the trucks start up, vroom, 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 and rush off to the fire. Pickles said to himself, "Meow, meow, 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 meow. I must learn to do what the firefighters do. Meow, 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 meow. I must learn to slide down the pole. Meow, 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 meow." He jumped and put his paws around the pole. Down he fell with a bump. A bump and a beep. Meow, 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 meow. Bumps or no bumps, I must try again, said Pickles. Up the stairs he ran. Down the pole he came. And bumped. But by the time the firefighters came back from the fire, Pickles could slide down the pole. "What a wonderful cat you are," said the firefighters. The chief did not say anything. Look at that. Is that silly? But he learned how to slide down a pole. Now, why didn't the chief say anything? Pickles said to himself, "Meow, meow, 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 meow. I must keep on learning everything I can. Meow, 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 meow." So he learned to jump up on one of the big trucks, just like I learned how to jump up here. And he learned to sit up straight while the truck raced to a fire. "What a wonderful, wonderful cat you are," said the firefighters. The chief didn't say anything. Pickles said to himself, "Meow, meow, 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 meow. Now I must learn to help the firefighters, meow, 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 with their work. Meow, 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 meow." At the next fire, he jumped down from the truck. He ran to a big hose, put his paws around it, and tried to help the firefighter shoot water at the flames. "What a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful cat you are, Pickles! Pickles the super cat!" said the fireman. The chief didn't say anything. "Meow, meow, meow, let me help you. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. If that was milk, I would drink it. Meow, meow, meow." The next day, the chief called all the firefighters to his desk. Then he called for Pickles. "Pickles, come here, Pickles." Pickles did not know what was going to happen. He said to himself, "Meow, meow, meow, meow. Maybe the chief does not like the way I work. Meow, 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 meow. Maybe he wants to send me back, meow, 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 to the old yard and the barrel and the bricks. Meow, 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 meow. But Pickles went to the chief, and at the chief's desk stood all the firefighters and Mrs. Goodkind. Meow, 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 what's going on here? Meow, 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 meow. The chief said to Pickles, I've asked Mrs. Goodkind to come because she was your first friend. Pickles, jump up on my desk. I have something to say to you. Pickles jumped up on the desk and looked at the chief. Out of the desk, the chief took a little fire hat. Look at that, a little tiny hat. Pickles, said the chief, I've watched you at your work. You've worked hard. The time has come for you to know that you are now our fire cat. And with those words, the chief put the little hat on Pickles' head. Hooray for Pickles. Everybody say, hooray for Pickles! And now we have one last story about Pickles. Do you want to hear it? You do? Me too. I'm excited. It's called The Old Tree. Pickles made friends with all the firefighters, but he did not make friends with any cats. When cats came to the firehouse to look at the trucks, Pickles chased them away. The chief called Pickles to him and said, a fire cat must be kind to everyone. You must be good to other cats. Little by little, Pickles learned to be good to the cats he met. He made friends with them too. Then all the cats loved to come to the firehouse. Meow, 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 meow. Ooh, I'm on a ladder. Meow, meow, meow. I have a little red, little tie, a little bow. Meow, meow, meow. I'm the only one with a hat. Meow, meow, meow. On rainy days, most cats stayed at home, and Pickles sat upstairs with the firefighters. On one rainy day, as he sat there, he thought to himself, meow, 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 meow. How bad I was when I chased those other cats. Meow, 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 meow. Once I chased a little cat, meow, 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 up a tree. Meow, 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 meow. Oh me, oh my, why? Meow, 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 meow. Why did I do that? Suddenly, Pickles heard the chief call out, a cat in a tree! Fireman Joe, look at that. That's good posture for a cat. Fireman Joe and two other firefighters slid down the pole, and Pickles slid down after them. Whoosh. He heard the chief say, the tree is in the old yard next to Mrs. Goodkind's house. Oh, thought Pickles. Meow, meow, meow. That's the yard where I live. Meow, meow, meow. And that's the tree. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, meow, meow. Pickles jumped up on the truck with the three firefighters. And 1, and 2, and 3. Away they rode to the yard, and there in the wind and the rain stood Mrs. Goodkind, pointing to a very little cat. Look how little that cat is. The firefighters put a big ladder against the tree. The ladder scared the little cat, and she ran to an even higher branch where a firefighter could not go, they couldn't reach. Joe said to Mrs. Goodkind,
I don't know what to do.
but Pickles knew. He began to climb the ladder. I'm Pickles, I'm climbing, climbing, climbing. I love to climb, I wear a little hat. Pickles climbed up and up and up. It was hard work. But at last he came to the top of the ladder, and then he climbed up the tree until he came to the little cat. Meow, 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 meow. Come, cat, meow, 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 he said to her. Meow, 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 let me, meow, 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 let me help you, meow, meow, meow. He picked up the little cat and took her gently down to Mrs. Goodkind. Meow, 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 climbing, climbing down the ladder, meow, carrying a little cat, meow, trying to keep the hat on my head. Meow, meow, meow. Oh, Mrs. Goodkind thanked Pickles, and she said to him, I always knew that someday you would do big things. Today you have done something very, very big. Pickles waved a paw at her, as if to say, Mrs. Goodkind, this is only the beginning, meow, 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 meow. And he rode home to the firehouse, a proud and happy cat. Meow, meow, meow. And there's his little hat. I thought that was a great story. Did you like that story? That was one of my favorites, I think. Thank you so much. Miss hanging out with all of you in person, but we'll be together soon, I think. Sometime this year, I think, right? All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a great week. Take care.